The grand marble columns of the federal courthouse in Manhattan stood tall, bearing witness to yet another high-profile case. Inside, the air crackled with anticipation as journalists, tech analysts, and legal experts filled the seats, eager to witness the courtroom drama unfold. The case? A government-initiated lawsuit against SpaceX alleging antitrust violations. Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur and maverick CEO, sat calmly at the defendant's table, his steely blue eyes scanning the room with quiet confidence. His legal team, some of the best in the business, surrounded him. But today's trial was different. It wasn't just about SpaceX, it was about Elon Musk himself. The judge presiding over the case, Honorable Gerald Langston, was a controversial figure in the judiciary. Known for his sharp tongue, disdain for billionaires, and deep political ties, Judge Langston had a reputation for manipulating trials to suit his own agenda. Some whispered that he was on a mission to take Musk down. Mr. Musk, Judge Langston's voice boomed across the courtroom, dripping with sarcasm, I assume you believe you're above the law, just as you believe your rockets are above the atmosphere. A chuckle rippled through the courtroom, mostly from Musk's critics seated in the back. The billionaire, however, remained unfazed. He had faced media attacks, corporate smear campaigns, and government red tape before. This was just another day in the life of the man who revolutionized multiple industries. With all due respect, Your Honor, Musk replied coolly, his South African accent cutting through the tension, I believe in the law. I also believe in logic, fairness, and the idea that progress shouldn't be punished. Judge Langston smirked, tapping his gavel lightly against his bench. Is that so? Because from where I'm sitting, you seem to believe you can do whatever you want, evade taxes, mistreat workers, and monopolize industries. Musk's lawyer, Allison Grant, a fierce litigator with a track record of dismantling corrupt cases, stood up. Objection, Your Honor. These are baseless accusations and have no relevance to today's hearing. Judge Langston's eyes flicked toward her, his smirk deepening. Overruled. He then turned back to Musk. I must say, it's almost comical. You've built an empire by convincing people you're some sort of modern-day Tony Stark. But deep down, you're just another greedy billionaire who thinks he can buy his way out of accountability. Musk leaned forward slightly, his expression unreadable. That's a strong accusation, Judge. You're assuming a lot. Judge Langston waved a dismissive hand. Oh, please spare me the theatrics. You might fool the public with your Twitter antics, but in this courtroom, I'm the one in charge. The insult was blatant. The judge wasn't even pretending to be impartial anymore. The cameras in the room captured every moment, broadcasting the exchange live to millions of viewers worldwide. Social media exploded with reactions. Was this a fair trial, or was this a blatant attempt to bring Musk down? But Musk, ever the strategist, simply smiled, a smile that made even the most powerful men nervous. Because when Elon Musk smiled like that, it meant he knew something others didn't. Judge Langston sat back, clearly enjoying himself. He thrived on the power he held in his courtroom, the ability to make or break even the most powerful figures. And today he was relishing the opportunity to humiliate Elon Musk in front of the world. Elon, the judge continued, deliberately dropping the formalities, you've built a cult around yourself. You claim to be a genius, a visionary. But what are you really? Just another man desperate for attention. Musk raised an eyebrow, his famous smirk barely concealed. Your Honor, are you cross-examining me, or are you auditioning for a Netflix documentary on corruption? A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Even Judge Langston's clerks shifted uncomfortably. The tension was thick, but Musk remained poised, his hands clasped together as if he were watching a particularly amusing chess game. You think you're funny, don't you? Langston leaned forward, his smug grin vanishing. But this is no joke, Mr. Musk. This is a federal case, and I have the authority to hold you in contempt if you continue with your A. The sound of the gavel hitting the bench was sharp, but Musk cut in before Langston could finish. With all due respect, Your Honor, I'd love to continue this exchange, but maybe we should get back to the actual case instead of playing insult Elon Musk for the cameras? Langston's face twitched with irritation. He wasn't used to being challenged like this, especially not in his own courtroom. Musk's lawyer, Allison Grant, seized the moment. Your Honor, we request a dismissal of this case due to clear judicial bias. The statements you have made today demonstrate an inability to remain impartial, which is a direct violation of legal ethics. Langston chuckled. Oh, that's cute. A billionaire crying about fairness in a court of law. Motion denied. Musk exhaled slowly. This wasn't just an unfair trial, it was a performance orchestrated by a man who clearly had a vendetta. But why? What was Langston's endgame? Then, almost as if the universe was answering Musk's unspoken question, a notification lit up on his phone, which lay face up on the table beside him. Musk glanced at it discreetly. What he saw made his smirk return in full force. Just a few blocks away in a dimly lit office, a group of investigators had been working tirelessly for weeks. Led by a former federal prosecutor, Robert Langley, the team had been gathering evidence against none other than Judge Gerald Langston himself. They had uncovered something big. Something that would change the course of this trial and possibly Langston's entire career. Langley leaned forward, speaking into a secure phone line. "We have him. The transactions, the offshore accounts, the paper trail, everything." A voice on the other end responded, calm but firm. "Send it to Musk. Now." Musk kept his expression neutral, but inside he was amused. He tapped a quick reply to the message on his phone before setting it back down, looking up at Judge Langston with renewed interest. For the first time, he felt something close to pity for the man. Langston had no idea what was coming. Judge Langston cleared his throat, sensing that he was losing control. "Let's move forward. Mr. Musk, do you deny that SpaceX engaged in anti-competitive practices?" Musk leaned back, stretching slightly. "Before I answer, Your Honor, may I ask you a question?" Langston rolled his eyes. "This is not how a trial works, Mr. Musk." "I understand," Musk said, his voice smooth, "but humor me for a second. Would you say that a judge who takes bribes, hides money in offshore accounts, and uses his position to benefit himself should be presiding over a case like this?" Silence. A bead of sweat formed on Langston's forehead. The courtroom was completely still, the spectators hanging on to Musk's every word. Langston scoffed, though his voice had lost some of its previous arrogance. "I don't see how that is relevant to today's case." Musk's smirk widened. "Oh, I think it's very relevant." He slid his phone across the table toward Allison Grant, who picked it up and quickly scanned the screen. Her eyes widened in shock before she composed herself and nodded. "Your Honor," she said, standing up, "we have just received critical evidence regarding your financial misconduct." Langston's face paled. "What?" Musk folded his arms. "Judge, let's cut to the chase. You've been taking bribes, haven't you? Large sums of money. Offshore accounts. Connections to powerful lobbyists who'd love nothing more than to see SpaceX crippled." The room exploded into hushed whispers and murmurs. Reporters frantically typed on their laptops, capturing the moment. Langston's hands tightened around the gavel. "This is absurd. Where's your proof?" Musk motioned to Allison, who calmly lifted her phone. "It's all here, Your Honor. Bank statements. Wire transfers. Even emails linking you to corporate interests that would directly benefit from Elon Musk's downfall." Langston's jaw tightened. He was trapped and he knew it. And Elon Musk? He was just getting started. Judge Langston's face turned a shade paler as the weight of the moment pressed down on him. His usual smug confidence was gone, replaced by a flicker of panic. His eyes darted around the courtroom, scanning the sea of faces, journalists, lawyers, and public spectators, all waiting for his response. "You have no right to bring this into my courtroom." Langston snapped, his voice shaking slightly. Musk tilted his head, his smirk deepening. "Your courtroom?" he repeated, drawing out the words. "I thought this was a place of justice, not personal vendettas." Allison Grant took a step forward, her voice calm but firm. "Your Honor, given the evidence we have just received, we motion for an immediate suspension of this case. Furthermore, we request an official inquiry into your financial dealings." Langston slammed his gavel against the bench. "Enough of this nonsense. This trial is not about me, it's about SpaceX and Mr. Musk's blatant disregard for the law." Musk chuckled softly, shaking his head. "That's where you're wrong, Judge. This is about corruption, yours, to be specific." The courtroom doors suddenly burst open and two men in dark suits stepped inside. The U.S. Marshals had arrived. The room fell silent as they made their way toward the judge's bench. "Judge Gerald Langston," one of them said, his voice authoritative, "you are under federal investigation for bribery, financial misconduct, and abuse of judicial power. We need you to come with us." Langston's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. This is outrageous. You can't do this. I am a sitting judge." One of the marshals pulled out a file and handed it to Langston's clerk, who skimmed through it quickly, then swallowed hard. The evidence was undeniable. "We have a warrant," the marshal continued. "You can come with us voluntarily, or we can make it official." The room held its breath, waiting for Langston's next move. His hands clenched the edges of his bench, his once commanding presence reduced to a man desperately clinging to whatever power he had left. Then, in a last-ditch effort to salvage his dignity, Langston pushed himself up, straightening his robes. He turned toward Musk, his expression dark with hatred. "You think you've won?" he spat. "You might have money, power, and influence, but you can't escape the system forever. One day, it'll catch up to you." Musk met his gaze, unflinching. Maybe, he said. But today's not that day. The marshals escorted Langston away, the once mighty judge now just another disgraced official caught in his own corruption. As soon as the doors shut behind him, the courtroom erupted into chaos. Reporters scrambled to get their headlines out, cameras flashed wildly, and people whispered excitedly. This wasn't just a courtroom drama, it was history in the making. Musk walked out into the bright daylight, cameras flashing around him as reporters threw questions his way. Mr. Musk, did you know about the corruption before today? Elon, what does this mean for the trial against SpaceX? Do you have a statement on the judge's arrest? Musk stopped at the top of the courthouse steps, letting the moment settle before turning toward the press. I believe in the justice system, he said, his tone even but firm. But I also believe that power in the wrong hands can corrupt. Today was proof of that. He let the words sink in before adding, as for SpaceX, we'll continue pushing forward. The mission doesn't stop just because a few people in power don't like how we do things. With that, he turned and walked toward his awaiting Tesla, the press still shouting behind him. Inside the car, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. A message from Robert Langley, the investigator who had sent him the evidence. Justice served. Let's talk soon. There's more. Musk smiled to himself. This wasn't over yet. As the Tesla's autopilot smoothly navigated the busy Manhattan streets, Musk leaned back in his seat, eyes scanning the skyline. Despite the media frenzy outside, he felt surprisingly calm. This wasn't the first time someone had tried to take him down, and it wouldn't be the last. But Langston's downfall? That had been unexpected. Musk tapped on his phone, pulling up a secure line to Robert Langley, the former federal prosecutor who had been investigating Langston. The call connected almost instantly. You did good, Musk said, his voice steady. Langley chuckled. I figured you'd appreciate the timing. You played it perfectly in there. Musk smirked. It wasn't a performance. Just an honest conversation about corruption. Sure, Langley said, amusement in his voice. But listen, Elon, this goes deeper than just Langston. He wasn't acting alone. Musk's eyes narrowed. Go on. There are bigger players behind this, Langley continued. Corporate interests, lobbyists, even some people in government. Langston was just their tool. They wanted you out of the picture. SpaceX crippled, Tesla weakened, Starlink controlled. Musk's fingers drummed lightly against the armrest. And let me guess, they have judges, politicians, and regulators in their pocket? Exactly, Langley confirmed. Langston was arrogant and sloppy, which is why we caught him. But the others? They're careful. They know how to hide. Musk exhaled, staring out the window as the city blurred past. He dealt with regulatory red tape, backdoor deals, and corporate sabotage before. But this was something more coordinated. They're going to come after you harder now, Langley warned. You embarrassed them today. Musk chuckled. Wouldn't be the first time. Langley's voice grew serious. You have two options, Elon. One, you go on the defensive, clean up your legal battles, and keep your head down for a while. Or two, you go on the offensive and expose the whole network. Musk was silent for a moment, considering. The safe option was to lay low. Avoid drawing more attention. But playing it safe had never been his style. I'm not just going to expose them, he said finally. I'm going to break their entire system. The next morning, the headlines were everywhere. Judge Langston arrested for corruption, Elon Musk at the center of explosive courtroom drama. Elon Musk takes down corrupt judge. What happens next? Wall Street and Washington shaken as judicial scandal unfolds. In his downtown Manhattan office, Langley scrolled through the headlines, shaking his head. Musk had won the first battle, but the war was just beginning. His phone buzzed. A message from Musk. Meet me. We're going hunting. Langley smirked. This was going to be fun. A week had passed since Judge Langston's dramatic downfall, but the shockwaves were still spreading. The arrest of a sitting federal judge for corruption was no small event. Political analysts debated it. News anchors dissected it. Social media exploded with theories. And in certain high-rise boardrooms in Washington and Wall Street, powerful men were seething. Elon Musk had not only survived an attempt to bring him down, he had flipped the script and exposed one of their pawns. That wasn't supposed to happen. The system had rules. People like Musk, no matter how rich, were meant to play within the boundaries set for them. And when they didn't, the system reminded them who was in charge. Which is why, as Musk sat in his office at Tesla's headquarters going through a stack of reports, his phone buzzed with an urgent message from Robert Langley. They're coming. Be ready. Musk stared at the words, his expression unreadable. Then, as if on cue, his assistant stepped in. Elon, she said, looking uneasy, there's a team from the SEC here. They have a warrant. Musk sighed, setting his reports aside. Of course they do. The conference room at Tesla's HQ was filled with men in suits. A team from the Securities and Exchange Commission sat across from Musk and his legal team. The lead investigator, a sharp-faced man named Victor Holloway, slid a thick document across the table. Elon Musk, Holloway said, his voice cold, the SEC is officially launching an investigation into possible securities fraud related to Tesla's stock manipulation. Musk didn't even blink. You guys never get tired, do you? This isn't a game, Holloway replied. You think you can just humiliate a federal judge on live television and walk away unscathed? Musk leaned back, folding his arms. Oh, so this isn't about Tesla. It's about payback. Holloway's jaw tightened. You've made powerful enemies, Mr. Musk. And they don't appreciate billionaires who think they're untouchable. Musk chuckled. Neither do I. But I do appreciate transparency. He gestured toward the thick document. What's the actual accusation, or are you just here to waste paper? Holloway smirked. We have reason to believe you engaged in misleading statements about Tesla's financial position, particularly in regard to stock buybacks and your social media activity influencing the market. Musk nodded slowly, then turned to Allison Grant, who had been reviewing the document. Thoughts? She barely looked up. It's flimsy. No real basis for an investigation. This is a pressure move. Musk turned back to Holloway. You know, I've dealt with the SEC before. They fined me $20 million for tweeting about taking Tesla private. He smirked. Best $20 million I ever spent. Holloway's face darkened. We'll see how much you're laughing when this case goes to trial. Musk stood up, towering over the SEC agents. Listen, I know how this game works. You couldn't get me in court, so now you're throwing government agencies at me. Classic move. He leaned forward slightly. But here's the problem. I'm not just playing defense. I'm coming for you. Holloway's confidence wavered for just a second. Musk continued. Langston was just the first. My team is already digging deeper. You think I don't know who funds your department? You think I don't know which hedge funds and lobbyists are pulling your strings? Silence. Musk smiled. I'm not just fighting this. I'm exposing the entire system. Holloway stood up abruptly. This meeting is over. As the SEC agents left, Allison turned to Musk. You really think you can win this? Musk smirked. I don't think, Allison. I know. Days later, Musk held a press conference at SpaceX's headquarters. The room was packed with reporters, eager to hear what the billionaire had to say after the SEC's surprise attack. Musk took the stage, his expression serious. I believe in free markets. I believe in competition. But what I don't believe in is corruption. And I certainly don't believe in unelected bureaucrats using their power to attack innovation. He turned to the cameras. The same system that protected a corrupt judge is now coming after me. But here's the thing, they can't silence me. He pulled out a folder and held it up. Inside this folder is evidence, real evidence, of how deep this corruption runs. It's bigger than just one judge, bigger than one agency. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to release it all. The reporters gasped. Musk continued. To those in power who think they can control the future, you can't stop progress. And you can't stop me. He smiled. Good luck trying. Weeks later, the fallout was massive. More corrupt officials were exposed. Public pressure forced resignations. The system was cracking under the weight of its own greed. As for Musk, he kept building, because no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't stop him. They never could.